Friends, in just a moment, we are going to begin the funeral services for Marc Jacobson. If you have a cell phone, and I'm sure that you do, please take a moment to turn it off so it does not disrupt the funeral service. If you have a pager, which you may not have, please turn that off. Make sure it's on the silent mode. Officiating today's services will be Rabbi Michael Sommer and Cantor Jane Heyman. In just a moment, the clergy will approach the family and the immediate mourners with the ribbons and lead the family in the tradition of Kriya. If you'd like a seat, there is an additional chapel, the North Chapel, just across in the lobby, or in the lobby that you can be where there are seats available. Should you need to be seated, you can still see and hear the funeral service as it goes on.
The act of Kriya is old as biblical times. Back then, when a loved one died, they would rent their garments and pour ash upon their head. A mourner today wears a black ribbon to let friends and family know to approach them with more love and sympathy, to make sure everyone who sees them knows that there's been a tear within their lives. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, dayan ha'emet. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, judge of truth. If the mourners wearing a ribbon would please rise so we may tear the ribbon.
Esaenai el harim me'ayin yavo esri Esaenai el harim me'ayin yavo esri Ezri me'im Adonai ose shamayim va'aretz Ezri me'im Adonai ose shamayim va'aretz.
The psalmist in those words wrote long ago, I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and coming now and forever. A poet wrote, what is the measure of a man? His measure is the kind words people say when he isn't there, and the memories he creates that stay indelible in the minds of all who knew him. What is the measure of a man? It is the amount of love he leaves in people's hearts and the laughter he leaves upon people's lips. It is the length of time he's remembered, his good deeds and his kind words. Measured in the length of years, his stories get told by family and loved ones alike. This week, today, these moments bring more questions than answers. We mourn Marc's tragic death as we celebrate everything he added to your lives. Marc is a song shared with our souls that played to a beat all its own, a beat we'd never heard before and may never hear again. Marc's revelry, cheer, and jubilation filled any space he entered. He drew everyone in, called everyone friend, and treated friends like family and family like the most precious gems he ever beheld. Marc gave his all, his heart, his soul, hoping to be the change everyone needed in their lives. Marc's spirit brought comfort, laughter, and rays of light wherever he went. We know Marc would implore us to fill the world with laughter, dance, and music, not tears, knowing that his love lives on in all of you. Marc Jacobson changed the lives of all who knew and loved him. Rarely does a light like Marc enter our lives. Beloved eternal love of Joanna, son of Arthur of blessed memory, and Janet, brother of Jody and Norb, Wendy and Michael, father of Ashley and Justin, adored uncle of Charles and his girlfriend Morgan, Jack, Lindsay and Katie, cherished nephew and friend to so many. We are blessed with the lives we share. May Marc's memory always be a blessing as we celebrate the memory of his life and all the blessings he brought into our lives. A poet wrote, "Fight my fight. Dry your tears and pick up the mantle I've left you. Fight my fight for those in need and for those who never had a me to share their lives with. Fight my fight by caring for the stranger, the sick, the silent, the victim, the child, the one who has no one else to come to their side and defend them from the world. Fight my fight because it is the right thing to do. Take my love for you and share it with the rest of the world in hopes of filling it up with a love so big that you find every person standing by your side as a defender of all that is good. May you all fill the world with the light I've always tried to share with every person I've known or loved. My hand may not be in yours, but know that my spirit lives in your heart, and my light can never be extinguished as long as memories of me give you the strength you need to fight my fight." The Byrds made popular these ancient words of Ecclesiastes when they sang that there was a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak. Now is the time we speak of Marc's incredible life as I call up Joanna to speak of him.
On an immensely rainy Monday morning, just 4 days ago, I lost the love of my life. A love that was not only my best friend, but also the most amazing life partner I could have ever hoped for. Today, I would like to share with you how Marc transformed my life in every meaningful and positive way. Our love story began on June 4th of 2022 when we first met at Chuck Hannon's birthday party. His wife, Fortunate Masuda, who like myself is a member of Service Club, kindly invited me to join the celebration. I felt honored to be included, as I just met her a month ago. When I arrived at the party, I approached Fortunate to say hello and noticed her gaze shift above my head. Cheerful grin spread across her face, and I was curious, so I turned around. Wanted to see what caught her attention. A pair of beautiful summer sky eyes and truly mesmerizing smile that immediately drew me in. Marc approached me with confidence and ease, shaking my hand before pulling me towards him with a gentle hug and a kiss on the cheek, as if we've known each other for years. Even others around us thought we've been friends forever. As he wrapped his arms around me, I felt warmth and magnetism of his embrace for the very first time, but it felt so familiar and so safe. What started as a simple hello quickly evolved into 4 hours of a deep conversation. Time seemed to slip away, with minutes melting into hours, and nothing else mattered. We were lost in our perfect world. And from that moment, we became inseparable. As I reflect over the last 26 months that we shared, I remain in awe of Marc's passionate love for life, his larger-than-life personality, his relentless desire to be the best and give his best, and his drive to uplift and support everyone around him was truly inspiring. He was kind. He had a thoughtful approach to everyone and everything he touched. I cherished Marc's sense of adventure and his natural talent for planning personalized experiences. I loved how deeply he loved me, paying attention to the smallest yet most special details. For instance, when I came home after working late, he would greet me at the door with a delicious meal and a big glass of hot water with lemon and eagerly ask about my day. He celebrated my victories and shared his experiences to support me throughout any of my struggles. And when he met my mom for the very first time, he welcomed her into the house, into our home, with a large bouquet of flowers and not one, but 3 underlined cards, wanting to make her feel cherished. Marc was my lion, my rock, my mountain, my everything. He was devoted, kind, respectful, thoughtful, qualities I cherished and reciprocated every single day. I loved caring for him, from ensuring he took his medications and vitamins and waking up with him at 4:20 a.m. so we could do our cold plunge session. We made those early mornings enjoyable by dancing to the tunes of Robin Schultz and Miguel Miggs. I would choose his suit for the day and choose his tie, and despite the initial resistance, I would apply lotion on his face. In return, he learned how to adjust my back to alleviate my back pain, making sure I wasn't in discomfort throughout the day. Before he left for work, I would prepare his lunch, and we would always exchange a 6-second kiss, because it's scientifically proven to release oxytocin in your brain, and we love science. Every evening, we would share what we appreciated about each other, and we never went to bed angry. These beautiful rituals kept us grounded and deepened our bond. Marc was a truly once-in-a-lifetime love, surpassing any dream a woman could have had. We were always connected. We always held hands. We always watched out for each other. We always answered each other phone calls and text messages. I cherished the countless ways and the countless joys we shared, whether we biked, swam, worked out together. Our Sunday morning triathlons were our favorite tradition, because we would do a 30-mile sprint on the bike, then swim for 30 minutes, and then as my reward, he would make avocado toast, which I might be biased, but it was the best avocado toast I've ever had in my life. Another joy we shared was our love for travel. All of our trips were so special, but my favorite was the most recent one in June, when we celebrated our 2-year anniversary in Aspen. We embarked on a breathtaking hike across the Maroon Peaks and then enjoyed a hot air balloon ride above the mountaintops. At the end of the trip, he surprised me with an anniversary gift that, ironically, was the same one that I planned for him, a personalized song celebrating each other's praises. We were perfectly aligned, perfectly in sync, and this alignment made it effortless to plan this once-in-a-lifetime 60th birthday soiree for him at Riverbend. And I'm so grateful that so many of you were able to be there to celebrate him earlier this year. Marc was deeply touched by everyone's messages, everyone's presence, everyone's love, and felt immense gratitude for the love that you have shown him. When I was writing this, there was many memories that flooded my mind when I thought of our time together. I loved his spontaneity, like the one time he blindfolded me for the entire trip that it took us to get to the Hamptons. Our impromptu weekends in Riverbend, which was his special place. I cherish the memories of our getaways to Napa, helicopter rides, Amalfi Coast. One of my favorite recent experiences was when I surprised him with a backstage experience for Miguel Miggs, which was his favorite DJ, and we went to San Diego. He was so happy dancing that night. I'll never forget our little date nights, dance parties, or just the joy of spending time together. His energy, his speed of execution, his delicious cooking, his little just because presence, he just made every moment truly extraordinary. We always told each other, I love you throughout the day, every single day, believe it or not. His singing to me, the way he kissed my forehead, his passion, commitment, loyalty, trust, I'll treasure forever. Our partnership was truly incredible, and I will always, and I did always feel extremely fortunate to be by his side. And I envisioned sharing those memories with Marc for another 30 or 40 years. However, I never imagined that the last few months of immense stress at work would have or could have taken such a tremendous toll on him, landing us where we are today. I am utterly heartbroken. This is excruciatingly painful, and this reality serves as a stark reminder that even our real-life superheroes can have their breaking points and deserve empathy, patience, and grace in every aspect of life. To say that I'm devastated is truly an understatement. Words cannot describe the pain that I feel with him being gone. Marc was not only a son, a brother, a father, an uncle, a friend, a business partner, and to me, a life partner. He was a true superhero, carrying burdens beyond our comprehension. To everyone here, I share the pain of your profound loss. Despite my overwhelming grief, I want to thank you all for being here today, for sharing in our sorrow and honoring this once-in-a-lifetime man, Marc Jacobson. I love you, baby. Thank you.
I invite our friend Jeff Caney to speak.
Thank you, Joanna. That was heartwarming, and beautiful. Like many of you, the phone call was something that we never expected ever in our entire lives. This man is a man of force of nature, to say the least, and we can see and witness here with everyone here the impact he had on everyone's life. I was fortunate enough to be very close friends with Marc, and this is a phone call I never expected. Like many of you, I went through denial, extreme sadness, a little bit of anger, to be honest, and was not looking forward to today. And I woke up this morning, and Nancy and I luckily have a little pad downtown, and the sun was out. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. The sun was out, and I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking peaceful thoughts for the first time. And I actually started to look forward to today until I found out I was speaking. Thank you. of watching the sun come up over Lake Michigan and thinking about our wonderful times together, knowing him since 2007. I'm going to ruin your day if you know what an earworm is, but I woke up with an earworm this morning, and that's the song that kept repeating itself over and over. It's the weirdest thing. And I was driving here today, and it just was playing over and over in my brain. I'll just read you a little bit of this song, and again, I apologize. From the TV show Friends, I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you because you're there for me too. And I think this sums up MJ perfectly. I think he'll still be here for us in many, many, many different ways, and it's our job to look for that in little things. Finally, and I know everyone in this room, I don't know how he did it, can relate to what I'm going to say. I picked up the phone to call him, to text him, expecting a text to be on the phone, and it wasn't there. And that's happened the last 3 or 4 days, right? So I came up with an idea, and I'll share my idea with you, and you're more than welcome to do it. But I think in the next 3 or 4 days, I'm going to text him. Tell him what he what he means to me. So thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
I call up Mark's friend Phil Haig to speak.
Wow. Incredible. I'm so sorry to the family, the friends. Marc and I gotta read this. I'm not gonna do as well up here. I want to start. I'm getting old. I want to start this out by saying I never thought I'd be standing here right now. This is it completely, I had no idea. And I wish with all my heart I was not here. Yet here we are. So Marc and I met about 28 years ago on an airplane with our kids screaming on the plane. And Marc bolts to the back to get away from it. And I bolted behind him. And we sat down and exchanged numbers and became best friends. He was a brother to me. He really was. We were both young, trying to grow in this crazy world. We shared a lot of interests. We both had young families, loved golfing, traveling. We were growing businesses, many things in common. The one thing about Marc is how he traveled. It was all first class. You traveled with Marc, you were on a first class adventure. And he would go to London and LA and New York, and this could be 2 trips in 1 week. I mean, he was on the move. I'll never forget, we went golfing in Scotland, and we rented a car, and he rents a Jaguar. And here we are. What he didn't remember is he had to drive on the other side of the road. So as we're driving across the country to the next golf course, he hit every single median circle. We returned that car with the rims completely messed up. I mean, everything was he was a bright light. He was an incredible person. And what he really liked, he worked so hard, and what he really liked was to go to a top hotel or resort and hang in the spa. He would go to the steam, he'd work out, he'd go to the spa. If you were traveling with him, you want to find him, you'd say, where'd he go? You go to the spa. And that was his way of decompressing, because he worked so hard. As you know, Marc truly cared for everyone here. And he gave in many ways. He was a tremendous coach, mentor, friend, and confidant. He loved helping other people. He was passionate with St. Jude's, the veterans, so many different charities. But I think he touched a tremendous amount of people through his work life. And he helped so many people by what he did, as Wendy did. And he coached literally thousands of people across the country. And when he was having rough times, he'd be the first call of the day. If I was having rough times, he would call me. If my family was having rough times, he would call me. And it'd be the first call of the day. Could be at 4:30 a.m., but it was the first call of the day. And he would ask, what can I do to help? We spoke for decades almost daily. Marc excelled at excelling. It was fun to watch. His TED Talk, he was gearing up, I think, for a second TED Talk. He loved to share what he learned. He loved to share his enthusiasm, and I will miss him greatly. Our relationship was very deep. He's a true friend for life. And, our friendship withstood the test of time. I moved out of town, it withstood distance, and it'll withstand silence. He cared very much for his family. He cared for my family as we cared for him. I don't know how to share everything I'm feeling. I could tell you I'm very sad. My heart is broken, there's a hole in it. I don't know when it's gonna heal. I'm not angry. I'm lost. And Marc, I hope you're at peace. I really do. I will always miss you. I'll always love you, buddy. I wish you had reached out for help. And thank you for being in my life.
I call up Jody to speak of her brother.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jody Hansen. I'm Marc's sister. Let me correct that, Marc's youngest sister, otherwise known as his secret sister. I'd like to share things that you could always count on from Marc. When you go on a family cruise vacation and you're the youngest of 3, and you had to take the bunk above Marc, you could always be guaranteed a night push-up into the ceiling. Things you could always count on from Marc: being on the dance floor until all hours, singing and dancing our hearts out. We were able to do that this last March for his 60th birthday, and boy, was it awesome. Things you could always count on from Marc: to protect you when the youngest decides to take Dad's prized Jaguar out for a spin in high school. And things you could always count on from Marc: to call you at 5 a.m. on your birthday and let you know he was thinking of you. I'll really miss that.
I call Wendy to speak about her brother.
In March of this year, as has been stated, we celebrated Marc's 60th birthday at one of his, if not his most favorite place on earth, which was Riverbend in Kohler, Wisconsin. That night I made a toast at dinner and have taken some excerpts that were spot on then and today, and I'm not sure how. Many have tried to define a successful life. All of us know that Marc didn't like hearing somebody say that he was successful, or even try to measure them their own selves as being successful. I'd like to try and explain why I think that Marc had a successful life. A successful life is about the journey and not the destination. Jennifer James says, success is not a destination that you ever reach, but the success is the quality of your journey. I'd like to add the following to this. That journey of having a positive impact on others. That journey of creating opportunities for others and passionately watching them soar. That journey of creating meaningful and strong relationships that make you smile and warm your heart. That journey of doing charitable work and affecting those and making the world a better place. That journey of making an effort to love life that nurtures your soul. The journey that is twisting and turning in directions unknown and realizing that there's a reason and enjoying that process. The journey that tests your courage to fail and confidence to overcome doubt, and the struggle to find another path. That journey of acquiring knowledge to understand character, yours and others, and that journey to know that rainbows always follow the rain, and that the sun will rise again. And Jeff and Nancy, the sun this week was glorious. I don't even know where you are. I don't have my glasses on. Jeff and Nancy every single morning, sunshine. And finally, that journey to find true love and that journey to have belly-aching laughter. The real measure of success is inspiring others, and gosh, did he ever do that for all of us. He was our biggest cheerleader. He's impacted all of our lives, and we're the lucky ones to have known him, and we're all better off for knowing him. And now that we're done with the philosophical stroking and praise, let's all agree that he was a 4-year-old through and through. You all know me. I gotta get it in there. He loved razzing our mother, and getting her riled up, especially at high holiday dinners. Eventually, as Charlie became more mature in the fold, and drawing him in as a disciple to hurry everybody along to go get the soup so that he didn't have to look or smell at the gefilte fish. I know that Michael and Norb and the kids are so over the ridiculous and repetitive story about the infamous lasagna pan of Mom's famous tongue, peas, and carrot dish. Mom, it was gross. And she told us that it was bad cold, and she was right. But Marc, because of our dog that loved Marc, always by his side, he always found a place and a way to feed the pieces of tongue to Bambi while I sat diagonal at the table and trying to keep it down. And while we're on the subject of food, we all know he liked to think that he was the connoisseur of fine dining. And here's the reality. He couldn't sit long enough to even enjoy fine dining. And as we all know how much he loves Sebastian Maniscalco, 2 seconds after sitting down, he wanted something to eat. And I think that he got that from our dad. I recall that we were one time at Barnum Bagel, which used to be around the corner here, and we were there for breakfast before the kids were born, and the poor waiter came over, and he asked my dad, you know, if we wanted drinks or coffee or water or juice, whatever, and my dad's like, okay, all right, listen. We need 6 of those bagels, half a dozen Bialys to start, cream cheese, a few orders of bacon sausage, and then we'll think about ordering. We traveled to Milan, Lake Como, and Zurich in 2011, and Michael had planned an amazing itinerary that included incredible restaurant experiences. One morning before the tour, we were having breakfast in the hotel dining room, and the breakfast in Milan, I mean really anywhere, is just fabulous. And the menu was filled with delicacies and Italian, and Marc, the waiter came to Marc, and Marc tried to order a bagel and cream cheese in Milan. Michael and I just looked at each other and were like, it's Marc. Michael also planned a little bit of a surprise for a fine dining experience. Literally not one thing he ate at dinner. He just couldn't get over it. He was a complex eater too. We were regaling the story earlier this week about when he was on his vegan kick, clearly the best. Actually tried to convince many of us that his plant-based hot dog was as good as Vienna. We're from Chicago, Marc. It's just not happening. Despite his aversion to a real hot dog, thankfully Josh's in Northbrook serves the best turkey burger in town, and Marc was a frequent flyer there. On a weekly basis, all the guys knew MJ and his turkey burger, and don't forget extra jardiniere. Finally, I would be remiss without remembering how Marc could make me laugh. Not a ha-ha, not a, a giggle, but true belly-aching laughter at the most inappropriate times. So if Marc and I were in the audience here, he would do something and I would be like this and I can't stop laughing. Our dad got so mad. He was just so mad. But who'd Marc learn it from? Yeah, my dad. Okay. Laughter that would make me cry, holding my stomach, laughter that would make any attempt at talking impossible, so much so that he would walk away or pick up his phone or sit with his hands folded, waiting for me to stop and finish the story. I recently reshared this famous chili cook-off story with him and Joanna. He and Jo were at a restaurant, and Marc gave her the phone to read it, and we asked her to read it out loud to him. He had me on the speaker. I have literally read this 1,000 times and cannot get through it without roaring laughter. And hearing Joanna laugh, of course, made Marc and I just howl. That's what I will miss the most, laughing with you, MJ. Being a little selfish, I'm the luckiest to have called you my best friend. I am beyond grateful to have had a front row ticket to watch your journey, and Godspeed, my babe.
I call up Charlie to speak of his uncle.
I gotta say, it really makes me happy seeing so many people and knowing that there's probably triple the amount of people outside right now. It's really nice to see. My name is Charlie. I am Marc's nephew, and I was his apprentice for the last 5 years. Now, I want to just address something that Wendy said, or my mom, sorry. It's the work talk, okay? Nana, Janet, she swears that tongue story is not true, that they never served any tongue. And I want you guys to know firsthand it was true, because Marc said it was true, so it's true, okay? All right, I'll get into my written speech. Actually, before that, I wanted to talk about Rabbi's poem that he read, Fight My Fight. I want everybody to think back about that poem. It was Marc to a T. He would want us to fight his fight, and that was to help every single person you can. He didn't care who somebody was. He would help them every time. My goal today is to lift spirits. That's what I said to my girlfriend the second that I started writing this. I wanted to lift spirits. I want to end this nicely. Sorry. Marc would not have wanted us here to be upset at all, and I know we are going to be, but he would want us laughing and carrying on and about his life, his legacy, his accomplishments, and most importantly, his quirks, because he had a lot of them, okay? A lot of quirks. But Marc, to me, was my cool uncle. Anytime that I was around him, I could not control myself, but be an absolute, as Mom said, be a 4-year-old, okay? I was always clowning around at family events, and everyone, bothering everybody, probably ticking a few people off, including my mother and definitely my girlfriend, Lindsay, for sure. But as long as Marc thought it was funny, I couldn't have cared less. He loved messing with my mom and obviously Nana as well. And I couldn't help but join in. Listen, if Marc's doing it, I'm doing it. Like Mom said, he never failed to make you laugh if that was his goal. And I know that probably resonates with a lot of people here today. He was really good at it. He was so good at making people happy and feel comfortable and supported and encouraged. One thing that I wanted to share is something that a close friend of Marc's sent to my mom, a couple nights ago. He said the following: Marc went vegan, but he ate meat. He stopped drinking, but he definitely drank tequila. He was such a funny guy, and it made no sense at all, but all the sense in the world at the same time. And he would do anything for anyone always. He was truly a gift. And I think that was spot on, and you know who you are who texted that. And by the way, Mom wanted to put that in her speech, but I told her she had to take that one out because I wanted it. Marc was a complicated guy. There's no denying it. I know many of you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, he loved every single person in this room so much. His life's work was being a support system for as many people as possible, and you don't find many people like that. He just cared so much. I don't know what it was. He needed to help. He taught me how to be supportive to people as well. He taught me how to bring them up and be their best selves. Another thing that he taught me was a very, very important fact of life that I want to spread today. And that was, he said, never focus on monetary things. Now, he had his toys, and I know you guys know that, but he told me that if you work hard and bring value to the world will reward you and bring value to you. And that is how I've lived for the last 2 years, and I've seen that be the case. I really have. Another note is that anytime he saw one of his friends, family, business partners, or clients be in the newspaper, anything like an online article, anything like that, he would immediately call them that day and congratulate them. He would bring them up. He would want to, say a few words that made that person feel special. He had me make some of those phone calls, too, to teach me, and especially if I knew that person, he'd have me call them. He knew exactly how to bring people up to, 1, provide them confidence, and 2, encourage them to keep going and reach their full potential. He loved seeing others succeed, and I'm sure that made him very happy inside knowing that he was able to contribute to that. I know that resonates personally with many people here. To conclude not only my eulogy today, but everybody's, I want to take a second to encourage all of you today, for my sake and for my family's sake, to share their funny stories and make people laugh. We had the last couple of days to be sad and be upset, some of us angry, grieve. And I'm not saying that stops here. It won't. But today is a gift. It's an opportunity to be with people that you have not seen in ages. There are so many people who go back 30 years, 20 years, more than that, 60 years with Marc. And you haven't seen these people in decades. And it's important to take that opportunity. Catch up with those people. Share stories with people that you've never met before that have similar experiences with Marc. Definitely drink tequila with lime and lemon, because that's the MJ, if you guys didn't know, and have fun. We cannot waste this opportunity. I'm serious. Please smile and laugh as he would have. Thank you.
Marc would have preferred to have his funeral emceed with a DJ and sick rhythms to dance to all night long. Of course, after dancing for all 8 hours of his 60th birthday celebration a few months ago, he could barely move the next day. But Marc loves celebrating life with all of you more than anything else, so just picture the ink, 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 like the beat at Today, don't expect any answers that explain why we must mourn such a loss as this. Marc would want us to hold each other, hold his family, hold his beloved Joanna in our hearts and arms as we grieve collectively with no explanation to bring comfort to our sorrow-filled hearts. Marc lived his life as he wanted to live it. Family and friends were everything to him. Marc truly saw everyone he met as part of his soul and journey, a possibility to make a difference in someone's life. Born in Chicago at Edgewater Hospital on the 5th floor, it's argued which room. He grew up in Highland Park and graduated from Highland Park High School. He graduated from DePaul University, studying business and finance. Marc felt really blessed when he walked into his required comparative religions class and saw his rabbi from B'nai Torah, Rabbi Shalom Singer of blessed memory, as his professor. Janet, you remember Marc carpooling to B'nai Torah with the Zaidman, Spitzers, and Skadman kids? You described your son as a real gem from his birth. He had a heart of gold and took care of anyone and everyone he felt needed to be cared for. Jody, you described your brother as having so much energy. And Michael, you said Marc was just a big kid his whole life, always seeing the world as an adventure to be had and a game to be played. You spoke about how he would always be with the kids, roughhousing and wrestling, usually until someone got hurt, especially the one time someone's shoulder got dislocated on the living room floor. Jody and Wendy, you both know that your brother to be your mom's favorite, and when you call it what it was. And every Mother's Day or Janet's birthday, Marc would bring no less than those 3 cards with every word underlined on every card with big letters from your favorite son, child. After college, Marc worked for a time with his dad at the family company, S.I. Jacobson Manufacturing Company. And of course, Marc wasn't an inside person and had to be out and making calls for sales. In 1988, he left to start his financial services company, Marc Jacobson and Associates. And Wendy, you said you would help for the summer just to set up the company and only managed to stay there ever since, helping your brother as his right hand, his left hand, front of house, back of house, and everything in between. It says a lot that you two were able to work side by side and stay siblings who spoke lovingly to each other most of the time, in and out of work. Marc loved helping people, helping them find their way in life. He never saw where a person came from, he only saw their inner light and true potential. Marc loved giving someone a chance to prove to him and themselves what they were capable of accomplishing. He would often train someone on phones or another entry-level job and slowly promote them up in his company as their skills and abilities rose to every occasion. He loved being able to establish the Jesse White Tumbler Scholarship Program that each year awarded a 4-year scholarship to DePaul University to attend the college and train to be the school mascot. On time for Marc was always 15 minutes early, so really we started late when we started near 12. He loved calling and texting all his friends to check in and make sure you all were doing okay. He could give the best dating advice and wanted everyone to live their best life filled with love and happiness. In living, we all try to make the world a better place. We try to make a difference wherever we go, bringing new light and new color into the world. You are all Marc's legacy, touched by all he taught you and all the light he brought into your lives. Marc worked hard to make a difference in the lives of his family and those who knew and loved him. May we always remember the best of Marc in his strength and health. May his memory always inspire us to do more with every moment we have in our lives, and hopefully do it with a dance to our step and a rhythmic beat in our hearts. Merritt Malloy wrote, "When I die, give what's left of me to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother and sister walking the street beside you. When you need me, put your arm around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved, and if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not on your mind. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away." Janet requested a song of peace, and we can all use so much peace in our lives as we continue with the Shabbat melody, Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol et uvechol shah bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We turn into our pamphlets together and read the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We rise for our memorial prayer, El Malei Rachamim.
El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Amsei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShchina, Im Kedoshim U'Tahorim Kezohar HaRakia Mashirim, Et nachalato. Adonai hu nachalato. Vayanuach beshalom al mishkavo. Then Omar, Amen.
Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Marc Jacobson, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in your eternal presence and in the shadow of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Please be seated.
Friends, this concludes the services here at the chapel. The interment and burial service will continue at Zion Garden Cemetery in Chicago. For those of you traveling with us to the cemetery and the funeral procession, please do keep the following safety precautions in mind. Please make sure that your bright headlights and your four-way hazard flashes are on. Please be sure to obtain an orange funeral safety sticker for your windshield, and we will be providing several, but not every car in the procession with a magnetic orange flag to be placed on top of your car. Please travel as close as safety permits to the car in front of you to avoid any gaps in the procession. And for your own safety and security, I would suggest not speaking or texting while driving to the cemetery. As we make our way through the intersections, if the car in front of you goes through the intersection, even if the light changes, please proceed with caution. Feel free to use your horn liberally, but please do make every effort to follow the car in front of you as we make our way to the cemetery. Following the interment, the family will be returning to the Rosen residence at 1106 Adirondack Drive in Northbrook. They'll be together today upon their return from the cemetery from approximately 3:30 or so until 7 p.m., and again continuing together with calls of condolence from 1 until 7 p.m. That information is available on the service folder that you should have received when you came in. If you do not, we may still have a few extra copies for those of you who didn't get them on your way out. And for those of you joining us online, all of that information is available on our website as well. The family has also requested that any memorial contributions in Marc's memory to the North Suburban Special Recreation Association. And again, that information is available on the service folder and on our website. For those of you who've been asked to serve as pallbearers, at this time I would ask you to please come forward and stand to my right. And I would invite everyone else to please rise and stand in place as we escort the family, the casket, and the clergy from the chapel. Thank you.